Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this upsell guide, we're going to go through 5 solid upsell ideas, whether you're digital products or services, so timestamps below, along with some other helpful videos to building out the rest of your sales funnel. Now, as we dive into these 5 ideas, there are a couple of keys that we need to keep in mind in order for all of these ideas to be successful. So key number 1 is just remember that this is all about delivering more value to your customer. It is not about stuffing our pockets with as much money as possible. So if we're focused on just making more sales, the upsells are really going to fall flat on their face because this is not a science, it's more of an art because we're just focused on delivering more value to our customers and of course being more helpful to them, not just stuffing our pockets full of money. Now, when it comes to what your upsells need to do in order to be successful, before we get into the 5 timestamps below, if you just want to skip to the ideas, is your upsell pitch needs to reaffirm the purchasing decision that they just made. So we want to make sure that the upsell offers always look completely separate, have a separate set of deliverables and benefits, results, and roadblock breakers than the actual product or service. Because if they purchase they purchase the first product or service and then you have an upsell and it looks like you need this in order to achieve the results they thought they were going to get over here, you're going to have a lot of unhappy customers. So here's an example of what an upsell page might look like. I'll link up in the cards in the description to a video that goes through a review of our favorite upsell software, ThriveCart. So check that out in the cards and the description. Now, let's go ahead and go through those 5 different ideas. So we're going to go through content upgrades, subscriptions, masterminds, and then packages and extended services. So the last 2 are going to be really relevant if you only have a services-based business. So the very first one on our list is going to be a content upgrade. This is my personal favorite because it's the quickest to implement and it really just flows naturally with a purchasing process, and that is offering a content medium change for what was purchased. So this works really well if your initial digital product is text-based, so something like some scripts or templates or an ebook, and then you can offer a content upgrade in the form of one specific training. You can do an entire workshop that expands whatever was in the ebook or template or scripts, and then of course you could also create some Excel or Google Sheet tools. Yes, people do find value in those, and you can go to Fiverr or Upwork and have someone create a tracker for you, and just think of it as the next step in whatever the process of your customers trying to achieve a result. So they bought an ebook for a reason, they bought some templates or scripts for a reason. So how can you be more helpful or just expand upon whatever is in that text? So as an example, when I was a financial advisor, what we did is we had an ebook and then we had an audio version of the ebook, and then we turned that audio version into a full-blown course. Now, all 3 technically had almost the exact same information, and we never pretended like there was something really, really new with each one, but we were able to make additional sales because some people would purchase the ebook and decide, I don't really want to read it. Why don't you just give me the audio file? I'll pay a couple dollars more for that. Or they decided that they wanted to take a little bit of a deeper dive and they purchased the full-blown workshop that was essentially the same information in the ebook, but we added some Excel tools and a little bit of extra information as well. And of course, if your main product is actually a workshop and you already have all of that as your front-end offer, then this next one is going to be very helpful, and that is a digital subscription. This is separate from a mastermind. So we'll get to mastermind and then the sales funnel math in a moment. But with digital subscriptions, you're essentially offering a report, newsletter, or up-to-date, dripped-out training that is going to help people stay up to date with whatever the latest is in your niche or industry. Now, obviously, this has to be relevant to your niche or industry. When there aren't a lot of changes in your niche and industry, as there's not things that you need to keep up to date with, then this probably isn't a good solution. So as an example, a stock market education company or research firm, it would make sense to have monthly reports or newsletters on what's going on in the stock market because things change quite rapidly sometimes. Whereas a productivity coach probably wouldn't make sense to have a digital subscription or newsletter because nothing really all that changes all that fast when it comes to productivity, right? So you need to also make sure that it makes sense in the context of whatever your niche or industry is. There are some influencers out there that are pretty successful just having an email newsletter where they just share their commentary on whatever's going on or their thoughts for the month, or they share their own personal stories of whatever they're working on. So that is one way you can get around the fact that things might not change too rapidly in your niche or industry. Then you could just focus on whatever your journey is and sharing that journey, although it is a much weaker and harder sell than something that is more up to date with whatever's going on in your niche or industry. So speaking of personal experience, this next one on our list is going to be Mastermind. So if you're still watching, go ahead and hit that like button. Again, timestamps below to skip around. And with a Mastermind, you're offering direct access to you, direct access to other people, as in the people who join the Mastermind are creating the value, or direct access to content, which is very similar to a digital subscription, although we'll go through the difference here. So the main things you can do for a Mastermind is, number one, just provide a Q&A. So you create a forum or a place where people can go to ask you questions and then also engage with other people within the Mastermind. The second format is doing a weekly, monthly, or bi-weekly coaching call where you have lots of people who are in your mastermind on the call and you answer their questions. So something that's important with a mastermind is this is not people signing up for one-on-one. We'll go through a different upsell for that. So this is where you are trying to leverage your time in answering questions at scale so that lots of people can see the answers, and hopefully the answer to question A is applicable to a bunch of other students or people in the mastermind as well. The final type that you can do is facilitating a community forum, although this is very hard because you have to make sure that the people that you're attracting are actually valuable to each other. So most of the time it makes more sense to just add a forum onto one of the first two that we talked about. Now, when it comes to running webinars, you can either do live webinars or you can do pre-recorded videos that you just post to your membership site. So I highly recommend starting with pre-recorded, but if you want to just hop on and try live, because it can be a lot of fun, then go ahead and check out Webinar Ninja for webinars, and then also GetResponse does a great job with providing automated and live webinars as well. So you can go check out their pricing. I recommend starting at their $49 a month plans as of the recording of this video to just kind of get your feet wet with the webinars, and then of course you can always upgrade to get the extra bonus features in the future. So before we go on to the final two that are really going to be helpful if you have any sort of services as part of your business, go ahead and hit that like button if you're still watching. Let's do some upsell math, because there is a reason that adding upsells, even if they're not that expensive, even if they're technically a downsell or cross-sell, that is so important, and that is the average transaction value. So let's go ahead and take a look at this funnel diagram here. Let's say we have 10 customers and we have a $97 product, and then we have upsell number one is going to be either a digital subscription or mastermind at $37 a month, and then upsell number two is going to be a big workshop, and it's going to be $197, and that will be a one-time fee. Now, obviously, not everyone who buys your first offer is going to buy the second or even buy the third. And so let's say 3 out of 10 buy the second one and 1 out of 10 buys the third, giving us a grand total of just under $1,400. Now, of course, this math isn't working out perfectly, so let's go ahead and break down how this math is actually playing out. So let's go ahead and take a look at this chart. First, we have no upsells. 10 customers at $97 gives us a total of $970 because we don't have any subscriptions. So if we add one upsell that is a reoccurring monthly, let's go ahead and say in month number one, we make $1,081, and then month number two, we make $111. That is the 3 people who are still on our $37 a month subscription, giving us a grand total of just under $1,200. Then adding 2 upsells, that one extra person at just under $200 bumps up our total to $1,389, giving us an average transaction value of $138.09. Now, why is this so important? Because we're not talking about lots and lots of money here. Well, the reason that this is so important is if we go back to the very, very front of our funnel, we have to think about how we get people into this funnel in the first place. And that is most likely content or paid traffic, which both cost money, right? So the more we make on average per customer, the more we can pay on average to acquire that customer. And so taking our average transaction value from 97 all the way up to 138 gives us a lot more flexibility when it comes to driving our traffic. And so all of a sudden, our cost per acquisition can be over $100, $138, as opposed to being stuck at 97. And that is an astronomical astronomical difference when it comes to running paid ads. You're going to be a lot more competitive in whatever ad space that you're in. And of course, it's just going to give you a lot more flexibility in acquiring customers. Now, of course, there's a common objection here. Well, if I pay $138 and I make $138 on average, I'm not making any money. And that's true. I wouldn't make any money and you wouldn't make any money. That's just how math works, right? Especially because there's fees across everything and we'd probably actually be losing money at this point. But what's really great is you've now acquired some customers at zero cost or maybe $1 or $2 after you think about fees and everything like that. And so what you want to do is after someone's purchased the initial offer, they've gone through a upsell sequence, maybe a week or two later, a month or two later, you make another offer, right? It's technically another upsell. And you're now making offers to people you've already paid to get on your list. And you're making offers to people you know actually purchase your products or services or actually care about your product or service recommendations if you're doing affiliate marketing. And so all of a sudden, on the back end, your customers cost zero to acquire, and that's when you really start making income. And the whole purpose of your front end sales funnel is really just to break even so you can acquire all of those customers. You have that nice email list, and now you can make additional offers in the future. And one of those additional offers I highly recommend making is a package. So a package is going to be a service, and this is where you bundle a lot of different services together to deliver a specific result. So someone isn't necessarily hiring you to do something, they're hiring you to deliver a specific result. So let's say we're social media marketers, right? And we sold an ebook on how to be successful with Facebook, and then we had a workshop on YouTube. Well, it's 2 or 3 months. It's 2 or 3 weeks later. You don't have to wait 2 or 3 months. Please don't do that. Maybe it's 2 or 3 weeks later, and you start sending a couple emails talking about a management service or ad service that you have. And so package A could be running Instagram and Facebook, and then package B could be running Instagram, Facebook, and then adding some others like Snapchat, Twitter, or Pinterest. And the key with packages is the more that the package costs, the higher the perceived value should be. So you can see with this particular example, 2 costs 20, but 5 costs 30. And so, of course, you have to make sure that you're not going to go broke doing all this work. But this is a great way to make sure that people see more value in the higher price point packages, and often you're going to enjoy economies of scale. And what we found as a digital agency, even though we're technically offering 5 for just another $10 in this example, we find that we actually wind up making more money with that than the lower one because there are a lot of fixed costs in just having someone as a client. Of course, we charge way more. We would charge way more than $30 to handle all of those, right? We just do paid ads right now. So anyway, I highly recommend coming up with a flagship package and then a light package, and of course the big kahuna, if you will, the one that is just for those really massive clients that come once in a blue moon. Now, when it comes to services, maybe you already have a service or you just skipped here, then what I recommend doing is offering something that extends the life cycle of your client. So essentially, if you have a service and you're looking for upsell ideas, look for ideas that are going to keep you in contact with that client. The whole purpose of extended services is to keep you top of mind. So as an example, you could offer a discount on a specific number of months of a service. So if someone purchases 3 or 6 months, you could give them a block discount. You could offer a monthly retainer. So you would offer 12/5. I have to do that. Always have to do that math in my head. So you'd offer 12/5 email or phone support. And essentially that is a monthly retainer model where you're set up as the resident expert. So anytime they need something monitored, they need something reviewed, they just have a question about whatever your skill set is, you can go ahead and answer that via email, or you can hop on the phone for a 10 to 20 minute phone call a couple times a week or month in order to answer those questions. And the whole purpose here is you have a reason to stay in contact with that client, and you're positioning yourself to be in the right of first refusal spot. Because if they have a new project, they're most likely going to come to you because they're already doing business with you, as opposed to going out and looking for a completely new agency or freelancer. They'll just ask, hey, do you do this? Or hey, can you do this? And then of course you have the opportunity to say, yes, we can do this, and here's how much it's going to cost. And they already know, like, and trust you at this point. Or you could say, yeah, yeah, well, we don't do this, but we have someone we can refer you to. And then you can start building your own referral network, because when you refer out, it's amazing how many referrals come back. Another thing that you can do here is simply offer incentives or rewards or some sort of discount system the longer someone stays with you on whatever service that you're offering. So hopefully you got some ideas on what you can do with upsells for your products-based business, your service-based business, or combine them like we have, because we've done packages with workshops and vice versa. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you have some ideas when it comes to what your upsells can be. Hit that like button, subscribe for more funnel building videos just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.